Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at United Health. It is time for another update, and it's been a couple of weeks since the previous video, but we've had some interesting developments finally occur where we might see a bit more upside finally. Now, before we get into the smaller time frame details, I wanted to go through the larger time frame to provide the full context for any of you who might be new. And here we have been tracking this idea of a potential double 1-2-1-2 setup, where right now we are looking at a wave 3 that would have formed a more substantial top most recently, and a wave 4 correction that would be unfolding into the area of support between the $260 all the way down to the $96 level. Now, as long as we don't break here the 50% retracement, we cannot be looking for something truly bearish on this chart. This is looking to still build an impulse. We are still looking for a fifth wave to take us to new all-time highs, and we are looking to complete this wave 4 correction by most likely creating a 3-wave pattern into the area of support. So as you may have noticed, we have already reached the area of support, but we have done so within a 5-wave pattern. This is strongly suggesting to us that after a 3-wave correction into the area of resistance, we could very easily expect at least another 5-wave move to the downside. So I am, for the most part, expecting this wave 4 correction to extend. However, I don't have a requirement that states this needs to happen right now. Because while I could consider this idea of a zigzag correction in an A, B, C pattern complete, I see no issue at all with creating an extension within this wave B. In the end, as long as we stay below the $510 level at the 78.6% retracement, the pressure remains present on this chart and we will still be looking for lower prices. So, for a true signal that we would see a more direct breakout, I would need to see the break of the 78.6% retracement. We could have had an early signal if we managed to create an initial 5 move to the upside within this area, even without breaking the levels of resistance, where we could have been looking for a potential 1-2 setup, even if we have this larger 5 move to the downside. But I really don't see this to be the case anymore, especially if we are to consider this to be a wave 1. We could have here a wave 2 and a wave 3, but if this is to be a reliable wave 3, we would expect some substantial extensions, and then we would still need a 4th and a 5th, so we would have to break the area of resistance before we would have our clear 5-wave pattern to the upside anyway. So right now, I'm watching the 78.6% retracement. A break above that, the $510 level, would be a strong signal that a more substantial bottom would be in place. But at the same time, if we are to consider the proportions we have had for this wave 2, and what we have had for this wave 4 so far, it is quite distinct, and if this is the correct count, which I believe it is, I would expect it to be even more the case that this wave 4 correction in green would be expected to extend. Now, before we move into the smaller time frame, I wanted to briefly mention the channel newsletter where you get access to our monthly top picks. The sign up link is in the description and it is completely free. Additionally to that, if you enjoy the content and you want to support it directly, you can check out the channel membership. We have the link for that in the description as well, or you can click the join button and you will get a couple of additional cool perks, including additional content. Now, back to the chart. So, within this idea, within this structure, we have been considering a possible top within this wave B. I'm not ruling out the possibility to already have a top within this wave B in place, and I can even provide you an ideal target for the wave C based on this assumption, and that would be at the 100% extension of the wave A around the $142 level. But keep in mind that this is an ideal target. We don't need to get there, and of course we don't need to stop there. However, it is a very common target the wave C goes towards, the wave C is drawn towards. And additionally to that, we have that very much in line with the 38.2% retracement. They are very, very close. That is the most common target for a wave 4 correction. Along the way, I wouldn't be surprised to form a more substantial relief rally once we push into this previous swing low, before we extended in this last fifth wave to the upside internally, where I would expect to create a bit of a slowdown of our potential downtrend from this area. but I personally wouldn't overthink it in the end and focus on the levels of support and of resistance. But yeah, if you want, be aware here of the levels around the $213 and then additionally around the $190 area. Now, in this pattern to the upside, we have been tracking a count that would allow an extension of this wave B. In white, we are considering a possible top and a more direct descent in a potential 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and a 5th, something like that. And then in the yellow interpretation, we are tracking a possible A, B, C structure where in the wave A, I might even be able to track a leading diagonal to have taken place. Now, without overthinking the exact count too much, I could make it work either as a leading diagonal, either as a 3-wave move. I probably prefer the idea of a 5-wave pattern, but once again, we are focusing on the levels of support for continuation to higher prices, and here we have the area between the $316.7 all the way down to the $260 level. In the previous video, we have been highlighting the possibility of just an extension that could have formed in this wave B in an A, B, C structure to the downside, in which case we would have expected to build here a 5-wave move within this wave C, and we had the area of resistance that started at the $297.5 and extended all the way up to the $315.4. It appears we didn't actually manage to reach this area of resistance, however, we did create our extension to the downside, and we do now have a complete 5-wave pattern where I really don't need any additional extensions lower to be able to consider a possible bottom in this large wave B in place and to look for a wave C to the upside. Now, assuming a bottom would be in place, an ideal target for this wave C would be the 100% extension of the wave A, that would be around the $433 level, perfectly in confluence with the 61.8% retracement we have for the resistance area in white. If we want, we can also check if we have some additional structural resistance, but nothing too significant, maybe a bit here at around the $426 up to the $432. But yeah, honestly, I wouldn't overthink the exact levels we should expect to top within. I would first try to identify a more clear initial 5-wave move to the upside that would allow us to even track a potential 1-2 setup. So right now we are looking at a potential ABC structure where we are very deep within the area of support. This is actually a very interesting trade setup to me, and while it isn't necessarily the most clear 5-wave pattern to the upside that we can track, yeah, even this is probably not right, probably like 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, something like that perhaps, doesn't matter exactly. The point is, regardless of whether this is a reliable initial 5-wave move to the upside or not, we are very deep within the area of support. We know that below the $260 level, we are looking for a wave C in white to very likely unfold in a much more direct fashion to the downside and basically to have started. But as long as we hold here the $260 level, I'm still looking with great interest for a potential reversal to the upside. And we can even remove the internal count now. What I would check, however, is if we have managed to create here a potential 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and 5th to know if we can track reliably a wave 4 correction. Because if this has reached the wave 3 extensions, the expected ideal target, we will need to be prepared to look for the wave 4 correction for an extension in a 5th wave, potentially for something like an initial 5-wave move to the downside in a wave 1, have a wave 2 correction, and then look for the 3rd wave within the wave C. But as it is within this case, we have not yet gotten to the 138.2% extension of the supposed wave 1. So while it is currently still possible for us to still see an extension to lower prices and reach the ideal target to be able to track this more reliably as a wave 3 within a potential white scenario, I am looking for this to rather not unfold as an impulse within this structure, because since this is a 5-wave move to the downside, we would need to track this as an impulse if it was to be a wave 3. So since we didn't reach yet the ideal target, I'm not looking for this to be a 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm looking for a potential additional 1, 2 setup, but nothing that would strongly suggest that we should expect further continuation to lower prices. And once again, we are currently deep within the support area, and I believe this can be extremely interesting for a position. Now, I'm not telling you to buy, I'm just highlighting a potential I see on this chart. So right now, in terms of resistance, besides what we will track here within the smaller time frame, I would be looking for a more generic area for a potential 1-2 setup. Although we have the 3-wave pattern to the downside, this is not an initial 5-wave move to the downside, which is not suggesting strongly that we should expect even further continuation to lower prices. And the first level of resistance starts at $298. We're looking all the way up to the $335. But right now, we shouldn't necessarily focus on that, as we might still have some pressure to push more directly to lower prices. So, within this fifth wave, I could still see an extension to the downside. I removed the internal count, but I would still like to actually look here for a potential 1, 2, third, fourth, and fifth. Within this expectation, I wouldn't be looking at an impulse, but I would still see it possible for us to push to another low that would actually just allow this count to be more clearly complete. Now, for this interpretation, the last level of resistance sits at the $280.8. If we manage to break the 61.8% retracement, it would be a stronger signal that a more substantial bottom would already be expected to be in place, and that we would be looking for a more direct push into the large area of resistance in white. Now, on top of that, we might even have here within this tiny time frame an initial 5-wave move to the upside that we could be tracking. It's clearly not the most reliable one, but we have created a 3-wave correction, and United Health seems eager to already push to higher prices. Now, to be honest, if we form even a reset of this wave 4, I would already find it extremely unlikely, even if we just form something like an additional 5-wave move to the upside within this area. Even if we get pushed back by the 61.8% retracement, I would actually be looking here for a potential additional 1-2 setup, or even within some sort of a diagonal structure for a 1-2 setup here. I would find this interesting. I do see the potential here, and I'm looking actually for higher prices. So now I actually want to track this extension to the downside within a different color, because in the yellow interpretation I want to actually look for a potential 1, 2, third, fourth, and fifth to unfold within this area. And within this structure, I would still expect to see another high before creating an additional internal correction, so I would be looking here at the levels of support between the $277.6, potentially all the way down to the 61.8% retracement. I'm not too keen on calling for an exact count within this area, so let's say the $274 level for continuation to higher prices internally within another high, and then we could be looking for an additional 1-2 setup. But honestly, I would even zoom out. I would be looking from this larger time frame perspective, where against the $260 level we are looking for continuation to higher prices. Yeah, the risk is minimal, and I believe this is an interesting opportunity that can be taken advantage of. But for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.